This is your ultimate guide to building social confidence and charisma. I absolutely love this topic because I'm subconsciously drawn to the subject. I like to observe people and, their communication, their body language, and I am actually very proud of myself for being good at this skill. And it is a skill. It gets better with practice. You can learn how to be good in social situations. You can learn how to be charismatic. Even if you're an introvert or a shy person or somebody who doesn't like people all that much. Celebrities are the perfect example of this. So many of them have gone on record and spoken about how they are shy and introverted, but yet when you put them in a public spot, they are confident AF. They are able to navigate the situation very well. People like them, people find them charismatic. Yes, not everybody can be Shah Rukh Khan, but most celebrities are still able to carry themselves very well and people love them. And if PR teams can train them to do this in front of millions of people, you can train yourself to do it as well. Let me show you how. Because I feel like a lot of people misunderstand these concepts. So social confidence is your belief in your ability to interact competently with other people. And charisma, on the other hand, is the charm that you exude on other people. It's how people feel in your presence. Do you make them feel valued? Do you make them feel heard? Do you make them feel motivated? Now, both of these traits are interdependent and they have a direct impact on our relationships, on our careers, and our overall life satisfaction. Studies show that people who are socially confident have an advantage in all of these areas, right? Over people who are not as confident. Most successful leaders, business people, celebrities possess these skills. The question is, how can you build them? This is actually very simple. And so many people just overcomplicate it, but it's not complicated. It's actually very simple. At its core, building social confidence is just about building three things. Connection, because you build these skills in relation to other people and not in isolation. Now, if you look at any good orator like PM Modi, Shah Rukh Khan, Martin Luther King Jr., why are their talks and their speeches so effective? Because they are able to connect with people they are speaking to. Similarly, you will notice that we are a lot more confident and a lot more at ease when we are interacting with our friends as opposed to stranger. That's because we have a connection with them. We know that they will understand us. Connection is the first fundamental. The second is self-perception, how we think, feel, and talk about ourselves. Now, if we have a positive self-perception, that reflects in our interactions with others. If, for example, Shah Rukh Khan didn't believe in himself, he didn't think highly of himself, would he be able to interact with other people in the same way? Probably not. So if we perceive our own selves as underconfident, as uninteresting, guess what we are going to project out into the world? So self-perception is the second fundamental. And the third is adaptability. How well can we adapt physically and mentally to different situations? People who are great at adapting to different scenarios, to uncomfortable situations, are naturally much better at social confidence because they know that no matter what happens, they can take care of themselves. So now let's look at how we can build these three fundamentals. I was recently watching a video where Alan Alda, who is this very famous actor, director in Hollywood, spoke about how good communication is a process like going to the gym. Only it's a lot more fun than going to the gym because with communication, you get to connect with another person. Communication forms the core of our connection with people. And here is how you can significantly improve it. 1. Stop seeing people as a threat. I feel that a lot of people, when they go out into the world, when they're interacting with other people, they are afraid, right? They're afraid that other people are going to judge them. They're afraid that other people are better than them and that they are imposters and they'll get found out and they're not as good, etc. There's a lot of fear, and that fear leads to people feeling threatened all the time. But you have to understand that nobody is out to get you. Everyone is actually fighting a very similar battle within themselves. They are trying to find their place in the world. And in fact, they're probably more similar to you than they are different. And that should be a very comforting thought and not a threatening thought. When you stop feeling threatened of people and see them as equals, as comrades, as friends, your interaction with them, the way you approach them, changes completely. I actually use this mindset shift whenever I'm going into an interaction with a stranger, whenever I have to go out and interact with people I haven't met before, I haven't known before. I will remind myself that they're not threats, that they are allies, that they're probably very similar to me and in a very similar situation. And I try and think about what they might be feeling. I try and put myself in their shoes and I try and think about what they might be feeling. And that immediately puts me in a zone where I'm curious to know more about them, where I want to understand how they're feeling instead of feeling threatened by them. Which brings me to the second point of building connection, which is becoming interested in people, in getting to know them without an ulterior motive. This is so important. If you go out in the world with the perception that you want to learn more about the other person and not approach it like a LinkedIn message where you want to learn something from them, or you want something from them, or you want their guidance, or you want to make them your mentor, or whatever it is, right? If you put all of that aside and if you go into an interaction with genuine curiosity about wanting to just know more about the other people, you will form a much better connection. Because I feel that you cannot manufacture connections. A lot of what is happening in today's day and age is we think that networking is important and we have to go out and network, and we have that motive to network. And when we approach interactions that way, it automatically makes them very synthetic, very forced. They are always going to be forced. But on the other hand, if you are curious about wanting to learn about this other person, if you are genuinely interested in what they have to tell you, they will naturally feel drawn to you and they will want to talk to you. And more often than not, when you do this, you will find that there are genuinely stories in their life that are interesting. You might even end up finding common ground, things that are common between the both of you. And that starts to form the basis of a long-lasting connection. And when you form that connection, it automatically becomes very easy to be confident in their presence. Now, I often use this approach, which is to go into an interaction or a networking event or a social event with the agenda of having fun. Instead of going to it with an agenda to get people to like me or to make an impression, I just go towards that interaction with the aim of having fun. When you focus on having a good time, if you are having fun, people will automatically gravitate towards you because everybody wants to have fun. When you are going in with this perception, it actually changes the way that you communicate. It changes your body language. It puts you at ease. It puts the other person at ease. And you are instantly in a different headspace. And that is what you want to do, because you cannot have fun when you're uncomfortable. You can only have fun when you are comfortable. And when you go in with the aim of having fun, you automatically become comfortable in your own skin, and that puts other people at ease. You have to remember that connection is all about energy. It's how other people feel in your presence. And when you actually start to look at it this way, you can significantly influence your interactions with other people. You must have noticed, traits like warmth, empathy, and open body language, enthusiasm in communicating make you a more approachable and likable person. How do people pick up on this? They pick up on your energy through the different cues that you're giving out. On the other hand, negative traits like coldness, disinterest, hostility, superiority, etc. repel potential connections. Now, I've spoken about something like this before, where I come back home and I rate my interactions with the people that I've had that day on the basis of whether it energized me or whether it drained me of energy. And this basically helps me understand what kind of people I would like to interact with in the future. You have to remember that it's not just about other people interacting with you. It's also about you interacting with other people. And you can't really understand your own preferences unless you take a look back at the interactions that you've had so far. So this is one of my favorite things to do, which is to judge my interactions based on whether they energize me or whether they drain me. And that really helps me understand whether I want to go to a networking event or whether I want to go to a social event, whether it will have the kind of people I'm going to like, whether it's going to have the kind of people that I am going to gel with. And that's important in the long term. When you're starting out, you might want to be more social, more present, do all of these things. But as you grow in this space, as you become more social, as you build a better network, you will also want to become choosy about the people that you interact with, right? And it all boils down to energy. And when I'm talking about energy, it's not just from a metaphysical or a spiritual perspective. Apparently, there was a set of studies done by this Heart Math Institute, which is an NGO, and they found that a person's thoughts, their attitudes, and their emotions emit energies through the heart's electromagnetic field. And that can actually synchronize with other people, because the electromagnetic fields apparently go out to 5 feet, in distance. and they can synchronize with other people and potentially affect their emotional states and feelings of connection. This is probably why when you have a heart-to-heart talk with someone, it feels so energizing and fulfilling because your electromagnetic waves are in sync. I thought this was a very interesting thing to share. And this also goes on to show that most conversations and interactions have an inherent flow and rhythm to them because of the energy surrounding them, because they're following that pattern of energy. And when the people having these interactions and conversations are fully present and they are involved, they are in sync and they are flowing with the conversation. I absolutely love looking at it this way because when you follow the flow, it not only helps you build deeper connections, but it also makes you a better and more effective communicator. Because when you're in sync with the conversation or the interaction, you automatically know what kind of body language to have. You know when to speak and when to pause and when to interject or when to give in your own opinion. And that keeps the flow going. And when you are in a state of flow, it is automatically very natural for you to feel confident, at ease, and that increases your social confidence and charisma. Another very important aspect of this is being present, right? Most people, whenever they feel awkward or shy in social interactions, will end up pulling their phone up and then they will stop interacting with anybody else. But most people, I feel, don't give social interactions their full attention. And they're not actively listening. They just want to get in, get out after finding out whatever they're after, right? But when you start paying attention and when you start listening actively, you automatically find that rhythm and that connection. And like we've been consistently saying in this video, that connection is the core fundamental of building social confidence. When you feel connected, you're automatically more confident. Because when you're connected with people, that basically stops that comparison game in your head. You stop putting people on a pedestal, you stop feeling inferior to them. It's just about being there in that moment with them. And that puts you at ease because you know that nobody is out to get you. And when you're able to form genuine connections, that improves your social confidence and your charisma like nothing else. This now has a direct impact on how confident you feel in social situations. If you have a positive self-perception, you are more confident. If you have a negative self-perception, you're going to be less confident, right? Now, self-perception in itself is based on a lot of things. How you feel you look, how you think other people perceive you, your own set of limiting beliefs, and all of this keeps changing throughout life. But a few things I feel that can improve your self-perception, specifically when it comes to social confidence and social interactions, are one, how well you're able to articulate your thoughts and express yourself clearly. Now, this is a skill that impacts every aspect of your life. If you struggle with putting your thoughts into words, if you don't know what to say in what situation, that can severely affect your perception of your own self and your efforts at social interactions. Now, how do you improve articulation? Start with the basics. Read more, consume conversational content, anywhere where people are having a conversation with each other, right? Watch media in the language that you want to be well articulated in. When we speak well in the language that we think in, right? So this is a must. Whether it's Hindi, whether it's English, whatever language you want to become a better communicator in, consume more conversational content in that language. One thing over the years that I've found very helpful to improve articulation is called video journaling, where you just switch on your phone's camera and start speaking about whatever is on your mind, right? That's why you will see that kids today who have access to phones very early on in life get very good at articulating in front of the camera. They can just flip up their phone and start speaking and they will never feel awkward or shy, right? So that is a really great hack if you are trying to improve the way that you speak and improve your articulation. And what might be an even better idea is to take a few of these interactions that you're comfortable sharing with a mentor or somebody who can give you good feedback and share it with them and ask them on how you can improve certain aspects of your speech, right? That really, really helps. I used to be very bad at video content, right? I found it very awkward to sit in front of a camera and talk. But now that I've been doing it for 2 years, I have become like this at it, right? And the reason for that is practice. So it will seem awkward at first and you will feel like, oh my God, why am I doing this? But the more you do it, the better you get at it and the better your articulation is, the more confident you are going to feel when you go out to interact with other people. Now, another thing that impacts your self-perception is how comfortable you feel in your own skin with your own looks. So doing things to enhance your looks can go a really long way here. I know that when I'm having a good hair day and when I am dressed immaculately, my confidence is through the roof. I feel on top of the world. And if I go to any social interaction during that time, I am going to kill it. I'm going to ace it. Now, how I look in a social setting really impacts my perception of myself, and that really impacts my confidence. So maybe you should try that. And dressing well also means that you wear things that are comfortable for you, right? If you go out wearing something that is in trend or something that's fashionable, but you don't inherently feel comfortable, I know that if I go out wearing something that exposes my midriff, for example, even though it might be in trend and might be super fashionable, I am not going to feel comfortable. And if I'm not comfortable in what I'm wearing, I'm going to be constantly fidgeting, trying to cover things up. And that body language shows. People are able to make out that you are not feeling comfortable, and that severely negatively impacts your confidence. Now, when I say become comfortable in your own skin, your looks and the way you physically appear is one part of it, right? The other part of it is becoming comfortable with spending time with yourself, alone with your own thoughts, understanding your own motives, accepting your intentions and traits. Become comfortable in your own skin. Because if you are not comfortable spending time with yourself, if you don't know your own traits, if you don't know your own intentions and desires, when you go out in the world, you are going to be very unsure of yourself. And that unsurety shows in your body language, the way that you interact, the way that you speak. And all of that definitely impacts your confidence. So you basically want to spend time with yourself in the efforts of getting to know yourself better. And when I say spending time with yourself, that doesn't mean sitting on a couch and watching TV all the time, right? That's one way of taking care of yourself, definitely. But in this specific scenario, what I mean is spending time with yourself to know yourself better. And you can't do that if you're watching TV all the time. So a few ways to do that is to pick up a hobby that you've been meaning to get to, right? See how far you can take it, how good you can get at it. Start going out and doing things that you personally enjoy that other people are probably not wanting to do with you. Journal to dig deeper into the depths of your mind. Things that basically help you understand yourself better. Things that allow for self-reflection so that you can understand your true nature, what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with. And that just helps you grow as a person and improve your perception about yourself. If there are things that you don't like about yourself, you can begin to change them, but you can't do that if you don't know what are those things that you don't like about yourself. Now we come to like the basics of improving self-perception. These are a given. So many people have talked about this, but because this video is about improving social confidence and charisma, I really quickly want to touch upon them. The first thing is working out and eating clean. It directly impacts your physical health and your mental health. And when you are healthy inside out, that shows up as confidence in your own self, in your own ability. You feel good about yourself, and that is the energy that you emit out into the world. Second is surrounding yourself with positive influences. Your book, your media, the people that you interact with, everything. The more you surround yourself with things that uplift you, the better you feel about yourself. And that makes you more confident. Keep the promises that you make to yourself. This is a skill in itself, and it's very important to learn, because when you start keeping the promises that you make to yourself, you start respecting yourself. And confidence stems from self-respect. You might not always like yourself, but if you always respect yourself, you are going to be a confident individual. And finally, build basic social skills. If you have never gone out into the world, this is the place to start at, right? Good manners, politeness, empathy, respecting others, listening actively when somebody is talking to you, not looking at your phone when someone is talking to you, making eye contact when you're talking with them, not cutting people out when they are speaking, waiting for people to finish talking before putting in your point, learning how to shake hands, etc. Now, there are enough videos on the internet, so I'm not going to go ahead and tell you how to do each of these things. But basic social skills are important, my friend. They make you feel adept and grounded when you go out into the world and interact with other people. Now, how well you can mold your actions and your interactions according to a particular situation will go a long way in making you feel confident. If you know you can conquer any situation that is thrown at you, you are not going to be afraid. A lot of social awkwardness and lack of confidence comes from fear. Fear of not being able to handle things, fear of being judged, fear of looking stupid. But if you know that even if the worst situation happens, you can adapt accordingly, it skyrockets your confidence. So the first thing here is exposure therapy. Put yourself in more uncomfortable situations. Our brain learns patterns and behaviors from experience. If you have never been in a social gathering, if you have never interacted with people in a professional setting, if you have never gone on stage, your first time, I am sorry to tell you, my friends, is going to be awful. Awful for you, might not be awful for other people, but it's going to feel awful because it's going to fill you with fear. You're going to feel awkward, and that's absolutely natural. The only way to improve this, however, is to do more of those things. So if you wish to be a better networker, go to more networking events and strike up a conversation, even though you fear that you're going to look stupid. What's the worst that can happen? You don't ever talk to these people again. What's the best that can happen? They become a part of your network. If you want to speak on stage, go ahead, go out there and speak on stage. You will probably look stupid. You will probably fumble. You will forget the things that you have to say. But so what? The more you do it, the better you get at it. When I started speaking on camera for the first time, I fumbled so much, I cannot even tell you. But today, I can speak very fluently, very confidently, without feeling nervous, without feeling awkward or self-conscious, right? The more you do something, the better you get at it. Practice is the key. As simple as that. Second, make social interactions a goal, right? So when you make your vision board or when you put out your goal list for the month or the year, put social interaction as a little goal there, right? And when you put it out as a goal, you will try and find situations that will potentially allow you to interact with other people. And again, the more you interact with other people, the more you do it, the better you become at it. Next, build diverse knowledge and interests, because this helps you navigate the world so much better. One of the biggest reasons that I feel so confident talking to anybody, whether it's senior, whether it's junior, whether it's people I've never met before, or whether it's acquaintances, whoever, one of the reasons that I feel so confident interacting with them or talking with them is because of my diverse interests, right? I am interested in everything from psychology to biology, from physics to medicine, from economics to politics. And I'm not an expert on any of these topics, mind you. I am just interested in learning more about them. It's a natural thing that I gravitate towards. So whenever a topic or a conversation like this strikes up, I know that I can give inputs and I know that I can ask people questions to actually learn more about them. Because when you are curious to learn more, when you're curious to understand more about the world, your interactions automatically improve. Your interactions become more smooth, and the smoother they are, the more confident you feel. The next thing you want to do is practice matching people's energy. Now, we've spoken about energy in the connection part, but understanding what the vibe of a conversation is like, understanding what the energy or the rhythm of the conversation is like, understanding what the energy of the other person is like also takes practice, right? You can't be expected to be a complete newbie and then you suddenly step out into the world and become perfect at understanding what the other person is vibing like, right? It takes practice. And why this is important is because people like people who look and act and feel like themselves, right? We like things that are similar to us, that match our vibe. And one of the easiest ways to do this is to understand what the other person's energy is like. So when I'm in social situations, I am a talkative person, I am chirpy and I'm high energy and all of that. And that's generally the scenario, right? But if I go to a social interaction where I meet with somebody who is not as high energy, will I be va-va-voom and like all over the place and loud, etc. while I'm interacting with them? No, I am going to take things slow. I'm going to mellow down a little bit. I might still be energetic. I might still be taking initiative, but I am going to bring my energy down a little bit to match with theirs so that there's some sort of balance and they feel at ease. When you go into the world, into interactions with the aim of matching people's energy, you are fundamentally going in with the intention of making people feel at ease. And I'm not saying that this should be like a people-pleasing behavior and that you should always be responsible. But if this is a skill that you're trying to develop, when you go into an interaction and try to put people at ease, you will automatically be able to match their energy. And when you're able to match their energy, they become more attuned to interacting with you. They become more comfortable talking to you. And that builds better connection, and that also improves your confidence and your charisma in their eyes. And finally, give yourself challenges to fulfill. I remember watching another video on this topic on YouTube where this guy basically gave himself a challenge of going and talking to a stranger every single day for 30 days or a year. I'm not sure, like 30 days, I think was the time frame. And even if he just went up and said hi to that stranger, that would have counted as an interaction. So he ended up going and asking a lot of people for directions, pretending that his phone's battery had died. And in the beginning, that felt kind of awkward and it felt like, oh my God, what am I doing? But as the days progressed, he found that he automatically became better at all other kinds of interactions. Just that little act of putting himself in an uncomfortable situation for 5 minutes a day drastically, significantly improved his social interactions in all areas of his life. So that's probably a hack or a challenge that you can try, right? Okay, wrapping everything up. Today we've spoken about how social confidence and charisma actually boils down to building three fundamental qualities. One is building connections, knowing how to build connections. Two is building a positive self-perception, being confident in your own skin regardless of whether you're interacting with people or not. And finally, building adaptability, which is your ability to adapt to different situations and different scenarios, no matter what they might be. If you are able to get good in all three areas, you automatically become very charismatic, very confident in front of people. And well, that makes life easier and more fun for you, obviously, if this is your aim. Now, coming to the homework, I know that this is a lot of information to take in, so I hope that you watched this video like a podcast or like a lesson or a course where you took notes. You can always come back to it and watch it later. But for the homework, what I want you guys to do is see all of these three areas and pick one area where you think you need the most improvement. So let's say that you need most improvement in terms of building connections, right? So now in this space, I want you to pick one thing, one basic thing that you can start doing. Let's say the thing that you pick is being present in conversations and listening actively. That's actually a great place to start, I'm not gonna lie. So I basically wanted to take one area, one of these three areas, and pick just one thing in that and focus on doing that for the next 4 weeks. So if your aim is to be more present and listen more actively, every time you're having a conversation with someone, whether it's somebody you know, whether it's a friend, a family member, somebody in school, in college, in office, whatever, you are going to keep your phone away. You're going to put it in your pocket, put it away. And when you're interacting with them, just focus on listening to what they're saying and pitch in accordingly. That's the only thing that you need to do for the next 4 weeks, which is 1 month. Once you get better at this, once this becomes a natural thing to do, then you pick another thing and move on to that one. But for now, this is your homework. And this is everything that we have covered in the video today, just so that you can take notes. And so I'm going to be making a video on how to improve your English and your communication. So stay tuned for that. I think this communication personality development can be a whole playlist on this channel. So let me know what other topics you want me to cover. And meanwhile, go ahead and watch this video because YouTube says that you are going to love it. And I'm going to see you guys very, very soon in another one. Bye.